Kapla warriors. Wow, what happened there? Kapla warriors, today is a good day to learn about sharks. There's a great deal to know, so we have a lot to cover as usual. Please don't ask me if I've included XYZ, because I promise you I've included as much as I could possibly pack in. We'll see if I can even get everything that I've got here. So, I've got... let's review the schedule before we begin. So, Mondays are... Oh, thank you, God of Wolves, for subscribing with Prime. Mondays are gaming. I've been enjoying Tales of Seikyu. Tuesdays, karaoke. This week was Disney karaoke. Wednesdays, class with Dr. Export. This week it's sharks. And then today we'll be voting for a new topic next week. Thursdays, gaming. Probably more Tales of Seikyu. And then Friday, I need a guest host stream. This week, it is by default Lilywise, which is a bit embarrassing for her, but she understands that she can be intimidating for many people. And then next week, it starts over. You want to know how to spell Kapla? Kapla. There you go. Oops, and I've gotten rid of my notes. Just a moment, let me bring my notes back. Anyway, so be thinking about topics you want to suggest for next week. Oh, thank you, 1F, for the donation. Yes, sharks finally get their episode. I think it's well deserved. Tapirs, yes. Is that how you pronounce it? I always pronounce it tapirs, but maybe many people say taper and tapir. Anyway, I'm saving impressions for the end because it's too distracting to be switching back and forth. So don't worry, last 10 minutes will be reserved, or an extra 10 minutes will be added for impressions. And then remember, be thinking about topics for next week for what you'd like to be voting on for the next subject of class. Yes, Sapling Turtle, is tape ear, is that how you say it? I say top ear. So, anyway, let us begin. Sharks, a lot to cover. So, just have this image up here for you to just keep an eye on while I talk about some things, because it's lovely, isn't it? Let me zoom in a bit. Alright, so we're going to start by talking about evolution. So, sharks appeared in the fossil record before trees. They've survived 5 mass extinctions, which is really something. Because they were around with the dinosaurs, and these extinctions, you know, we lost dinosaurs, we lost many other species, but sharks survived. Not all the types of sharks, of course, but many kinds, and we still have them today. Out of context, we will discuss how sharks mate. There's a horrifying picture. Anyway, so sharks first appeared about 450 million years ago in the late Ordovician period. They had shark-like scales, shark-like scales have been found, but no teeth have been found. So this leaves us to wonder, were they toothless? Or did we just not found the teeth? And were they shark-like, or were they true sharks? Probably just shark-like. The oldest shark teeth, let me get the image I want. They got out of order. Here we go. Here's some evolution. And then the oldest shark teeth were found about 410 million years ago during the early Devonian period. They belonged to Doliodus problematicus, and it is described by many as the least shark-like shark, and believed to have risen from the spiny sharks or the acanthonians. Then, 380 million years ago, so right around the edge of here, the Middle Devonian period, the Antarcticalamna appeared. They were more eel-like, as you can see with this one. This looks more like an eel. And then there were this is a Cladylosaki, more like a recognizable shark, but it wasn't an actual shark. And this one's a coelacanth. Oh, I'm sorry, not a coelacanth. I'm an idiot. Ignore that. Then, 359 million years ago, so right about here, the Carboniferous period. This was the golden age of sharks. There was an extinction event at the end of the Devonian period, so before this, it killed off it unalived 75% of species, including many fish, which allowed the surviving sharks to dominate the seas. And many prehistoric sharks of this time evolved from the chimera, which you can kind of tell by how this shark looks, right? So there was the Stethocanthus, which had an anvil-shaped fin, the Helicoprion, which had spiral buzzsaw-like bottom jaw, and the Falcatus, which the males had a long spine jutting out of the back and over their head. Then 252 million years ago, the end of the Permian, so coming down right around here between these two, there was another mass extinction, and it took out about 96% of all marine life. But among the 4% that survived was some sharks. So incredible. Then going to 195 million years ago, still around here, the early Jurassic period came around the oldest known group of modern sharks, the hexanchiforms. They evolved flexible, protruding jaws, allowing them to eat prey bigger than themselves, and they evolved to swim faster. Moving on to about 150 million years ago, the Cretaceous period, that's about here, the sharks became again common and widely varied. And the largest of the sharks that were unalived, the largest species of sharks were unalived in the 5th mass extinction event, which was the famous or infamous asteroid. But at this time, the smallest and deepest water sharks that fed on fish survived. So incredible. Then, moving down to 66 to 23 million years ago, so right around here, the Paleogene period, sharks increased in size again. You can see, look how large they're getting again. The ancestor to Megalodon evolved, which is right here, the Odotus obliquus. It's the ancestor to Megalodon. It was one of the... and then the Megalodon, the Ototus Megalodon, was one of the biggest sharks to ever exist. There's some estimates on the size vary a bit, but they may have reached up to 24.3 meters long, which would be larger than today's whale sharks. So let me get that image. No. Ah, shit. I'm sorry. Here we go, the Ototus. So here's the original, the one I mentioned. The Ototus obliquus was the ancestor to the Megalodon, the Ototus Megalodon. Much larger, as you can see. In this image, here's the Megalodon. It estimates it as being, yes, larger than the whale shark. Smaller than the blue whale. Here's another image here that compares the Megalodon. Here's a person, here's a great white, here's a school bus. So even larger than a school bus. Weighing over 70 tons. So about 10 elephants if you measure in elephants. Alright. Continuing. And, by the way, the Ototus Megalodon was actually not related to great whites, but may have been in competition with their ancestors. So you may be wondering, how did sharks survive 5 mass extinctions? It's believed that it's most likely due to the diversity of the species. There are so many kinds of sharks, and there were so many kinds. Small ones, large ones, ones that ate fish, others eating plankton, deep water ones, more shallow water ones. So there was such diversity of the species that it allowed for there to be some that could survive in these extinctions. Such as, if all the fish are gone, well, there were some that still fed on other things. Or like we said, with the asteroid, the deeper sea sharks survived. Excuse me, just getting a sip of water. So let's move on to talking about the body of a shark. We'll use some of these images on Wikipedia. Alright, so sharks, anatomy. So a shark is a cartilaginous fish. So it's different. So most of the skeleton is cartilage instead of bone, and this is crucial. And only their teeth are not made of cartilage. And the cartilaginous fish also include rays, skates, and chimera. sharks can also be called a group of elasmobranch cartilaginous fish, characterized by a ribless endoskeleton, dermal denticles, 5 to 7 gill slits, and on each side... Let's see, I like this denticles picture. Each side, and pectoral fins that are not fused to the head. There are more than 500 species of sharks split across 13 orders, including several orders of sharks that have gone extinct. Do you all know what an order is? If you think back to biology from perhaps maybe elementary school, maybe junior high, maybe college or high school, there's the domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. I do know a mnemonic device for remembering that, but it's not entirely appropriate. The one I've always been taught and used is, do kinky people come over for group activities? Anyone heard that one? So anyway, sharks. Basic anatomy. So their teeth, shark teeth, are embedded into their gums. Here's a picture of teeth, but not all the teeth look like this. Their teeth are embedded into their gums rather than attached to the jaw. And are constantly replaced throughout the lifespan. So the average shark loses more than 300,000 teeth throughout their life. They also have, let me get an image here. I didn't have time to bring up all the images. I want to show you how, Here, this is an alright image, I suppose. Oh no, I like this one better. Where did it go? This one, this horrifying one. So look at this, friends. Isn't that just horrifying? Okay, so they have multiple rows of teeth. Look at this. God, it makes me want to throw up. So multiple rows of teeth, and then these teeth, they grow inside a groove in the jaw and then steadily move forward like a conveyor belt. So they lose these ones come forward. They lose these ones come forward. And then the shape of the teeth depend on the diet. Some might have, like these, the serrated ones I was just showing you. These are serrated. They might be more needle-like. There's other kinds. This is apparently a shark teeth, a nurse shark jaw. It's very disturbing. So gross. Yes. Then, skeleton. Their skeleton is made of cartilage, as mentioned, as well as connective tissue, of course. It's flexible and durable, and what's especially important about the skeleton being made of cartilage is that it's much lighter weight than bone. This is crucial for the shark. Well, it says it's a nurse shark right here, Zephyr. But you might be more familiar than I am. And it's also important to note that sharks have no rib cages. Supposedly on land they can crush under their own weight because of the lack of rib cage helping them hold their form, but I don't know about that. Now their jaws are not attached to their cranium, and their jaw needs extra support. So I tried to bring up an image of this, but it was challenging. This is quite blurry and not very helpful. This one's better. So they have these things called tesserae, which are made of crystal blocks of calcium salts, arranged like a mosaic, which gives it more strength. So you can see this here. Do you see these, sort of? These little plates. Mineralized plates to give the jaw strength. Many sharks have only one layer of tesserae, but larger sharks, such as the great white, have more. Some have as many as 5. And then also, to know about their jaw is the snout can be made of spongy cartilage to absorb impact. Like in a cartoon when they bump into something. I think that happens the little mermaid. Then their dermal denticles. These are their dermal denticles, which are also very unique for sharks. They have a dermal corset, you might call it. So they wear it on their outside. Well, they don't wear it. It's on their outside. It's made of flexible cartilaginous fibers arranged like this in these plates. And it provides them with an outer skeleton, which the muscles attach to. And it gives them hydrodynamic advantages and reduces turbulence when swimming. So it's really quite beautiful. Now we'll discuss some of their physiology. Buoyancy. So you might know that many types of fish have swim bladders. Sharks do not. Instead, they rely on a very large liver, which is filled with oil containing squalene. Something important to note is squalene is a highly prized skincare ingredient. So if you use any product with squalene, please check that it is not derived from sharks. Very important. So if you see squalene in the ingredients, go to their website or something. Make sure they're not unaliving sharks and using the squalene from their livers to make you look young, because that's disgusting. Yes, that's right, Zephyr. I don't know if I included that. So anyway, oops, I put cartridge. So they rely on this liver with the oil and their cartilage, which is lightweight. The liver is huge. It takes up to 30% of their body mass. They also use dynamic lift to maintain depth, which they achieve. If you don't know what dynamic lift is, it's similar to... Oh, thank you, 1F. Yes, they have oil inside of them. So Americans are like, hey, I wonder if this oil will make my skin look young. And it does, but it's not worth it. Just age, people. Anyway, let's go back to this one. And so some of them use dynamic lift, which is similar to what an airplane or a bird does. So they use their pectoral fins to create that dynamic lift, like an airplane. Interesting to note is that some sharks, if they are touched or stroked on the nose, will enter a natural state of tonic immobility. So some researchers will use this to study them safely by being like, sleep. Not really asleep, but interesting. Let's bring up this one. It might be too small. Well, what a piece of garbage. Alright, here, you can look at this megalodon. Unrelated to what I'll be saying, though. Respiration. So, sharks do have gills. Oh, how did I do that? Sharks do have gills like other fish. And, yes, out of context, they do cry when they're used for stupid purposes like meat or fins or squalene. They do cry. So they have gills like other fish, but their gills are not covered. They lie in a row behind their heads. As you can see here on the megalodon. Let's bring up a picture. Where is it? I had it. Where did it go? Here's one. Okay. So here you've seen the gills. They also have a spiracle. Not on this one. Okay, how do I keep losing this image that I had? Right, let me close this. Let me do this again. This is terribly frustrating. I had other images and they seem to have disappeared. I had two others. I liked this one. And I liked this one. Anyway, this one doesn't seem to show the spiracle either. But they have the spiracle, which is a modified slit, lies behind the eye and assists with taking in water during respiration for bottom-dwelling sharks. Now, while moving, the water passes through the mouth and over the gills in a process known as ram ventilation. Now, at rest, some sharks can pump water over their gills, but there are a few species you may have heard of that can't do this, so they must swim without ever resting, or else we assume they would asphyxiate. You've probably heard of this. So these sharks have to do their sleep swimming so that they don't die. And then sharks have a heart that is two-chambered. Thermoregulation. Most sharks are cold-blooded or poikilothermic. So this means that their temperature matches their environment, unlike humans or warm-blooded creatures who regulate their own temperature separate from the environment. It is, of course, influenced by the environment. The great white shark and a few others are homeothermic, and they need to have a higher temperature than the surrounding water. So they have a strip of aerobic red muscle near the center of their body that generates heat for them, which is then retained in another process. So that's quite fascinating, isn't it? Pretty cool. Yes, our dragon, a two-chambered heart. Alright, sorry, just getting another sip. Osmoregulation. Hades, I don't believe they're warm-blooded sharks, but I could be wrong. I had to hurry to fit all this in. So... Osmoregulation. Bring up this other... What was my other anatomy photo? This one. It's another one. Osmoregulation. So, their blood and tissues are mostly isotonic to marine environments, allowing them osmotic balance with the water due to high concentrations of urea and trimethylamine and nitrous oxide in marine environments. So it's important to know this is in marine environments. So these type of sharks, so most sharks can't survive in fresh water because they don't have the higher concentration of urea and trimethylamine nitrous oxide, which impacts the tonicity of the osmotic balance of the tissues and blood. Excuse me. And then there are a few exceptions to this. The bull shark is able to create its own urea. Then they also have a gland at the end of their intestine that secretes chlorides. A salt gland at the end of the intestines that secretes chlorides, and that helps with, waste. Because their urine is not sufficient for that. Oh, look at the little fish inside his stomach. That's humorous. As far as their digestion, this can take a long time. They have a J-shaped stomach, as you can see here. The stomach is J-shaped, and they have a short intestine. Do you see the intestine here? It's known as a spiral valve. Very different from our own. So it spirals around this short valve. Much shorter than many other species. Quite unusual. And then, fluorescence. There are a few types of sharks that are fluorescent under blue light. It's very interesting. Moving on to smell. And the senses. Sharks generally have a strong sense of smell, especially for blood. I'm sure you've heard that. The size of their olfactory bulb, which you see here, it varies between the species depending on how much they need their smell compared to their eyesight. So sharks that live in a low visibility environment will have a larger olfactory bulb because they will be in greater need of it for their hunting and survival. Sharks have something very unique too as well. Well, not unique. Yes, unique, but there are others that have it. They can determine the direction of a scent. So they take in a scent through their two nostrils. They can determine the direction of the scent based on the timing of the scent detection in each nostril. So which nostril, the timing of each nostril indicates which direction. So that's pretty cool. And then they are attracted to chemicals in intestines in many species, so sometimes they hang out in disgusting areas. Now, sight. Sight among sharks is similar to other vertebrates, but is adapted to the marine environment. So they have a tissue called the tapetum lucidum behind the retina, which reflects light back to the retina and helps with visibility in low light areas. Then many sharks... I know this is small, and it's not important, but I wanted to show you many sharks can dilate their pupils. Like, remember Bruce in Finding Nemo when he smells the blood? He dilates his pupils. So that's real. Some sharks can do that. And they do have... oh my head. They do have, eyelids, but they don't blink because they don't need to. Their eyes are kept clean by the surrounding water, so they don't need to clean it the way that we do with our eyelids. They also have what are called nictitating membranes, which some sharks have nictitating membranes, which cover their eyes while hunting and being attacked to protect them. Other species, such as the great white, rolls its eyes backwards when attacking to protect its eyeballs. And their field of vision can swap between monocular and stereoscopic, meaning that they can see things, in 3D, what is the word I'm looking for? In the comparison to the depth. Depth is what I'm looking for. All right, then hearing. We have some general information about shark hearing, but it's difficult to test sharks' hearing, and of course they live underwater, so it's very different. It's obviously still based around vibrations, but we don't know a whole lot. We have some estimates on how well they can hear, but we're not terribly certain. Here, on this one, it marks the spherical, as I was referencing, which is related to the respiration, part of the respiration. Now, moving on to electroreception. This is a good one as well, because it shows the ampullae of Lorenzini on here. So this is an electroreceptor organ. There may be hundreds to thousands of these. And these are used to detect electromagnetic fields that living things produce, helping them to find prey, such as prey that are hidden in the sand. And the hammerhead shark has the best electromagnetic detection. So congratulations, hammerhead. Then I like this one because it also shows the lateral line. Do you see this? This isn't just for illustrative purposes, like for aesthetic. This actually does something. It's this line here is a tactile sensory system which allows for detection of water speed and pressure changes. Let me get a sip of water. So that's pretty cool. This is made up of neuromast cells, which are similar to hair cells in the vertebrate ear. So in the vertebrate ear, like humans, we have hair cells which detect vibrations to detect sound. So it's similar in this way that it allows them to detect water speed and pressure changes. So that's pretty cool as well. So now, moving on to information about the shark life. The life and the personality and other information about sharks. So, I'm not going to zoom in too much on this one because I think YouTube will know what I'm showing you. So, can you see this up here? I'll get on to that later. We'll start with we'll focus on the teeth for now. So most sharks live approximately 20 to 30 years. Others, such as the spiny dogfish, lives more than 100 years. So there are a few that have lived more than 100 years. They produce a small number of well-developed young. So unlike, some species, their young are born very immature, but theirs are very well-developed. And they may produce somewhere between 2 and over 100 young per reproductive cycle. It depends. Their fertility varies a bit. And sharks have relatively slow maturation. Many don't reach sexual maturity until 13 to 17 years old. And this is important for a reason I will mention later. So that's pretty late for most species. You think of other species for dogs, for example. Dogs can start having babies at less than a year? But sharks, living 20 to 30 years, it takes half the lifespan for some to become sexually mature and be able to bear young. They use internal fertilization. So you've seen some fish that kind of do the more external. They do internal, so you can see this lovely... Oh, God! It's even worse. So internal fertilization. So the males have claspers. You can tell what that is equivalent to in a human. And it delivers its seed into the female shark's cloaca and oviduct. However, shark mating has rarely been observed, so we don't know a whole lot about it. Then there are different types of birth. So you can see here. There's ovoviviparity, in which the eggs of the shark hatch in the oviduct of the female. They're born alive and fully functional. They feed off the yolk, and then they come out, and they're good to go. Then there's oviparity. They lay fertilized eggs in water in what is often called a mermaid's purse. Sometimes people find these on the beach. Pretty cool. So this is a spiral egg case or a mermaid's purse. They're pretty cool looking. So they lay fertilized eggs in the water in this purse, and they develop in there. And then there's also viviparity, which is live birth with or without a placenta. Humans, of course, have live birth with a placenta, but not all sharks have the placenta. And then there's also... there are documented cases of parthenogenesis in sharks. Does anyone... Logmania, you will be kicked out. That is highly offensive. Does anyone know what parthenogenesis is? Anyone at all? Logmania, you're welcome to use a substitute. Sure, they exist. No Googling. That's cheating, Logmania. You have to know off the top of your head. Blue Tut, yes, that's correct. You didn't have to call it that, but yes. It is basically virgin birth, so like Jesus. So there are documented cases of sharks giving birth to shark Jesuses. So without a mate, these females somehow fertilize and their own egg and produce their own baby. So pretty cool. So there's the types of birth. So many people believe that sharks are these lone hunters that live solitary lives and they're very serious. But many types of sharks are actually quite social and live in schools of sharks. And they're known to have distinct personalities. So they're not just these bland, lonely, fierce hunters, cruel hunters that we view them as. But they have personalities, they have friends and family. So I think that's pretty cool. Additionally, shark speed. Any guesses? So sharks have a cruising speed and then a burst speed. Any guesses for the typical cruising speed of a shark? Yes, Hades, or like Anakin, the Anakin sharks. Any guessing as to the typical shark cruising speed? That's really cool, Zephyr. 25. No, you're way over, Alexavier. Yes, Zephyr, it depends on the shark, but I'm talking about a general speed. So about 5 miles per hour or 8 kilometers per hour. And then burst speed. So some can reach 12 miles per hour or 19 kilometers per hour in their burst speed. But the shortfin mako shark can reach 31 miles per hour or 50 kilometers per hour with its burst speed. So much faster. So some, they go cruise along fairly slowly, most sharks, but can burst for their hunting and survival purposes. But then some are quite fast. As far as intelligence, sharks typically have a similar brain-to-body mass ratio similar to other mammals and birds. Not a ton known about their intelligence. But as far as we can tell, they seem curious and show behavior of what that looks like play, which gives us some hints about their intelligence. Out of context, I really don't think you can swim faster than that. K-Chim, when on the hunt, that would be the burst. No, sharks are not mammals. Logmania. I was saying their brain-to-body ratio is similar to mammals and birds. Did I say other mammals? Is that why you said that? So when on the hunt, K-Chim, that would be the burst speed. Then as far as sleep, so there are some fish that can pump water over their gills to get the oxygen while they rest. And then there are some that can't, as I was saying earlier. So these fish have to engage in sleep swimming, which has been observed and caught on video. So they are basically unconscious but still moving forward because they can't put water over their gills without moving. So if they sleep, they'll die. No problem, D Killer Bunny. You're still in time to see some things. Let me see. I think another one of my... I think I lost one of my crucial links, so I'll have to bring that up. Give me just a moment. And then as far as diet, most sharks are carnivorous, but not all. Bringing this up so we can review some species in deeper. And then threats to sharks. I did want to address this. Some threats to sharks include fishing, both commercial and recreational fishing. Things such as finning. Shark fin soup is a delicacy and considered a high-status food. Finning is abominably cruel. Please don't eat real shark fin soup, because if you do, you've contributed to cruelty. I suppose if you're willing to accept that, that's your choice, but it is terribly cruel. And another problem with another reason that the that fishing is a threat to sharks is because, as I mentioned earlier, they reach sexual maturity late in their lives. So if many sharks that are pre-period or whatever, before they've reached their sexual maturity, if they are caught before then and used for meat or fins, etc., then they haven't had the chance to reproduce yet, which threatens future generations of sharks. So that's a problem. We don't... If they're going to be fishing, we need them at least to be catching sharks that have already had some babies. Prepubescent. Thank you, Eramiserasmus. That is what I meant. Another threat is culling that I read about. I was quite confused as to the reason of culling. Places such as, I believe it said, South Wales and maybe Australia. Culling because of, I suppose, threats to humans, and I'm 100% against that. Sharks have every right to be in the ocean. I would argue they have more of a right than humans, since they literally can't live outside of the ocean, whereas we can. So why should they be culled so we can be in the ocean with our non-fins and our non-tails and our non-ability to breathe underwater? That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. And then, of course, pollution and other environmental problems, changes to the environment, mostly things caused by humans. So basically, the biggest threats to sharks are humans, but of course there are threats in the water, but these are the ones that are more concerning. And then let's discuss some types of sharks. Let's see, did you say the blue shark, Zephyr? Was that the one you were talking about? Let's take a look at the blue shark. It is blue. This claims to be one of the most beautiful sharks. Let's see, curved, saw-edged, triangular upper teeth. Let's see. Says that shark pups remain in offshore nursery areas until they reach about 4.3 feet, when they begin to migrate with other sharks of the same age and sex. These mature much younger, the males at 4 to 6 years and the females at 5 to 7. But they live about 20 years. They feed on small prey, and they have viviparous yolk sac placenta. So, placenta birth. Very interesting. It says they are one of the most heavily fished in the world. See, how large should they grow? The male grow to 6 to 9 feet. It says many millions are taken annually as bycatch. Bycatch is a huge problem, so this is something to be aware of if you do eat fish, is many other creatures are caught. Does anyone know what bycatch is? Yes, Dee, I'm sorry. The Megalodon was quite a while back, but I'll show you an image while we're discussing. Oh, that's quite blurry. Anyone know what bycatch is? So bycatch is when they're fishing for just typical fish that we eat, but then other things are caught, such as turtles, skates, sharks. Yes, and it's terrible because we really don't want to be eating these things. I mean, I don't eat fish at all, but we at very least should not be eating these other things. So that's upsetting. Look at another type. Let's find a... Ooh, look at this. A leopard shark. So these sharks on their dermodenticles have this patterning, which is really cool. Some types have this on the dermodenticles. Sorry, my ears are still a bit clogged. No, it is not, Zephyr. It's illegal, if we're talking about the same thing. Anyway, it says these sharks prefer cool to warm temperate. They only grow up to 3 feet, the males. And females slightly bigger. So that's relatively small. Even smaller than export. They slow grow and late to mature. And they're oviviparous. So, they're no yolk sac placenta. Strong, active swimming sharks. Says they form large nomadic schools. Very interesting. Apparently, they also have valuable flesh. So they are fished. So that's unfortunate. Alright. Let's find another one. How about the great hammerhead? Look at this fellow. I really like hammerheads. I think they're quite cool. This is the largest of the hammerheads, reaching as much as 20 feet in the males. They feed on a wide variety of prey. So all kinds of fish and crabs. It says these ones are solitary, though. Feeding at dusk. Apparently, mating great hammerheads were reportedly witnessed in 70 feet in the Bahamas. The sharks ascended, spiraling slowly around each other, and copulated at the surface. While synchronous swimming, as a prelude to mating, has been observed with other species of sharks, copulation at the surface has not. Most species are thought to mate at or near the seafloor, so apparently they put on a show. They want others to see. Just a moment, I'm going to mute so I can blow my little nose. Alright, let's look at a few more. Anyone have one they'd like to hear about? Ooh, look at the basking shark. Quite gross. The salmon shark, the megamouth. Oh, the longfin mako, the white shark. The shortfin mako was the fast one we talked about. Oh, the goblin shark. Excellent choice. Here's the whale shark. I quite like the whale shark as well. Let's find the goblin shark. Ooh, look at the Bahamas saw shark. Goblin. The spiny dogfish, that's the one that lives a long time. It wasn't here. Let's bring it up. Let's bring up an image. Strange. Goblin shark. Unless I missed it. Oh, gosh. I forgot how ugly it is. Yikes. Yikes. Anyone able to name a variant of the song Baby Shark? There is the standard Baby Shark, which I will be singing for you. Anyone familiar with any variants of Baby Shark? If you are, I'm sorry. This one's amusing. Baby shark do 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 do. Baby shark do 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 do. Baby shark do 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 do. Baby shark. Mommy shark do 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 do. Mommy shark do 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 do. Mommy shark do 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 do. Mommy shark. I'm going to move ahead in the rhyme. Let's go hunt do 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 do. Let's go hunt do 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 do. Let's go hunt do 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 do. Let's go hunt. Run away do 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 do. Run away do 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 do. Run away do 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 do. Run away. Safe at last do 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 do. Safe at last do 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 do. Safe at last do 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 do. Safe at last. Ah, this one says the females are larger as well, with a possible maximum length of 68.9 feet. It's the end do 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 do. It's the end do 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 do. It's the end do 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 do. It's the end. It says whale sharks are known to divers as gentle giants due to their placid nature. How lovely. They're extremely vulnerable to over-exploitation due to their gentle nature and do not do well in captivity. Don't keep sharks in captivity. Don't keep dolphins in captivity. Don't keep whales in captivity. Does this really need to be said? Don't do it and don't support it. Or I got to get my steps in. The short-fin mako shark was the fast one. And here's the basking shark. Isn't that cool? A pointed snout, huge mouth and gill slits that almost encircle the head, strong lateral keels on caudal, peduncle, and a lunate tail. Very cool. Highly migratory with a complex courtship behavior. They can leap out of the water. Very cool. Endangered regionally in areas where a targeted fishery existed. Hi. So sharks are endangered, friends. Alright, so that's about it. It's that time now. We have some more things to discuss and to vote for next week and do your impressions. The Killer Bunny, you cannot own a shark, but I'm certain that you could adopt one by finding a conservation organization. You can probably donate and have like a shark who's being tracked that you can track as well, or something like that. It's very likely. Getting these steps in. Dirt Feather, I have not seen Deep Blue. It's hard for me to watch any of these. Is that a documentary? It's hard to watch the ones that talk about the conservation and the threats and the endangered. It makes me very distressed and I can't sleep at night. I can't even function. It's a little ridiculous. So, moving on. It's time for me, British export, to say goodbye. I was channeling my ancient, well, not ancient, but my pre-1600s English ancestors. Cheerio. Wait, does that mean hello or goodbye? All right. Whew. Okay. Oh, hey, Daniel Nogueras. All right. So. First, Zephyr's request. Might as well. I doubt you know this, export, but the dogfish is not actually the oldest living shark. She should have looked up the oldest Greenland shark. Yes, well, technically I didn't say it was the oldest living shark. I said it lived over 100 years. I know the Greenland shark lives to 120. It was just one I was listing as one of the long-lived ones. Siren request from Dirtfeather. I adore it so much. You forgot to name Ellen Joe and Gagura. They are sharks. Ooh, bubbles. Sorry, my throat is like... Anyway, Dirtfeather's request. We are gonna need a bigger boat. What is a good vegan replacement for fish for meals? Ooh, well, it depends on what you're making. So there's some weird replacements out there. Depends a lot on what you're making. One, I don't do fish supplements that often, honestly. Sometimes, bean curd sheets can be a good supplement for a lot of things. So can, Logmania says chicken. I would say also, certain types of tofu, like soft tofu and certain things. Also the thing I'm forgetting the name of. Oh, seitan is a really good substitute in general. Great texture. Dirtfeather request. Does catfish count as vegan export? Well, it's got cat and it's got fish. Logmania's request. Jockey. All right. Another topic, my quick summary of the Stellar Blade event. I've only played the first 5 chapters. I don't normally buy event currency to go faster. So I did my rolls for my first EVA copy. Probably will for 3 more copies to MLB. Yeah, seitan. There's actually an I in it too, but you're close. I like, let's see, wait. I'm waiting till the second banner character releases before going all in on getting multiple copies. Whew. Also, I like that Rome is returning and got a voice. I've only played the Stellar Blade demo, so I'm not familiar with much about the game. I did buy it and will be trying to find time to play it between work and YouTube stuff. And then the minigame controls are confusing, but graphically amazing. And I would really like them to start using a new Rappy design, as all event stories are perpetually stuck in the pre-Red Hood design timeframe. Even though, you know, I'm not very fond of it. Alright, I'm gonna do these 2 requests, and then we're gonna start talking about a topic for next week. Hi, Gadako. Alright, I'll do Zephyr's first. It also ate a polar bear, an effing polar bear. So not only is it older than Columbus, it's also massive. Supposedly it's more massive than a whale shark. A whale shark. Sorry, I don't know why I struggled there. Ow. D, I'm not gonna stream Stellar Blade. It's way too fast paced, but maybe I'll do a live review about my thoughts. Feathers request for Siren. So much. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Ugh. Right. Suggested topics for next week. Okay, so one we've talked about in the past would be baking science and how to make the best cookie. Gudako is suggesting dolphins. Other suggestions. I saw someone mention mythology slash like dragons. We could do like a mythology of like creature mythology. Is that called cryptids? That's cryptids, right? Or no, cryptids aren't the same. What is the word I'm looking for? I'll do the Siren Jaws soundbite one more time without the background music for you guys to clip. I adore it so much. Dun 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 dun. Tanks, Dirt Feather? What does that mean? Oh, tanks. I'm so dumb. I was thinking tanks like a fish tank. Like, I was like, that doesn't make sense. The talking to girls topic. Do you want that one? Excuse me. We got, okay, I've got baking science slash the best cookie. Ah, domestic cats. That's an interesting topic. Domestic cats, I like that one because that ties into history as well. I was really annoyed by this BS post I saw on Instagram where they were like, feeding your cat food, you know, produced cat food is like feeding a lion cereal. And I'm like, okay, except I wasn't aware that lions have been domesticated for thousands of years. That's news to me. What happened to my fish tank? I don't, oh, you mean the errata. We just haven't looked at it in a while. It's still around. All right, so I see, all right, let's do this. Okay. We'll stick with these four for today. Don't worry. You can keep suggesting topics and we'll keep bringing them around. So we're going to put these four. Best baking science slash cookies, cryptids slash mythological animals, talking to girls, and domestic cats. Zephyr's request. By the way, Zephyr ate an errata. And then queen, I assume you mean you want crown, Dirt Feather? Is that what you mean, Dirt Feather? When you say queen, do you mean crown? Because she's the king. That's what you meant, Dirt Feather? Okay. Well, hello! Dun dun! Dun dun! Dun 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 dun! I felt like Crown would do it more aggressively. Ho ho ho! This is fun! Yeah, 1F. Kind of both. Like, most research indicates that cats kind of domesticated themselves, like, around the time of the Egyptians. Because they were like, hey, you guys got food, and humans were like, aw. Dirtfeather, I'm sure she would, for survival. I think her food survival instincts would, her food instincts would outweigh her ethics. Alright, so far it's very even. Interesting, Eramiserasmus. I have not heard that term. I assume it means like you mean like good, so like pro-social? Or am I an idiot? Alright, everybody get your votes in. There's 35 of y'all. Zephyr, I saw that. I was sad about that comment. Very, very sad to hear. Learn about cattle out of context. That's funny. You didn't eat it? Well, what did you let it go? Oh, you tagged her, Zephyr. Okay, okay. I thought you meant it. You fished her to eat her. Dirtfeather, yeah, absolutely. Eating vegan is not as hard as people think. There's a lot of foods that are vegan that people just don't realize are naturally vegan. Like tortilla chips and potato chips, Ritz crackers, Oreos. Although technically Oreos are not considered officially vegan by really strict vegans, but I'm not that strict. I have to live my life. Dirtfeather, the only thing that humans do absolutely need from animal sources is B12. So I do take a vegan B12 supplement, but everything else you can get from other sources. Hades, yeah, Oreos and Ritz are considered vegan. So technically their ingredients are vegan, but some really strict vegans will say no because we don't know for sure that, like, the sugar, for example, that's used wasn't bone char processed. Daniel, it depends on the pretzels. I really like Stellar, what are they called? Stellar pretzels? Stellar something pretzels? Those ones are vegans, and they are so good. I, like, literally did not believe they were vegan because they taste super buttery. Yes, Aramis, Oreos don't contain dairy. They don't actually have real cream. It's like shortening and oils. So yeah, a lot of ultra-processed foods are vegan because of that kind of thing. Yes, 1F, we evolved to be omnivores, but we also evolved a brain capable of empathy and ethics. And capable of coming up with alternatives. Request from Zephyr. I'm told I should have actually been in charge of this class export. Alright, guys. We gotta get all those votes in because the results are pretty damn even. Like I've said before, Hades, I don't so much have a problem with the eating of meat. I think the problem is modern meat, like post-industrial revolution. Because before, animals were like living lives and we were eating them in much smaller amounts. But now what we do is just horrifying. They live these just awful lives and they're killed really cruelly most often. And so that's more my problem, is not so much the eating of meat, but the way we are going about producing the meat to eat. Yeah, Erasmus, it's the factory farming that I have a problem with, not the consumption of meat. So I think if we went back to doing it in a better way... Yeah, but Dirtfeather, we don't need to eat nearly as much. We do not need to consume meat at the rate that we do. Anyway. Alright, I'm putting the poll in one more time. Sudden death using straw poll, so I don't have to do the math between the two, the Twitch and the... Twitch and YouTube. God damn. Yeah, Aramis, if the farming was more ethical, because we don't need it at the amounts that we eat, but mostly it's like we need to do it. We also, part of the problem is too, like grazing of cattle that are used for meat. That's why they're deforesting large portions of the Amazon rainforest, is so that they can graze cattle that we made into meat. And so it's really bad. So if we just did smaller amounts and we weren't cruel about it, then I don't have a problem with it. I still wouldn't eat it, but I wouldn't think there was anything wrong with other people doing it. And most people I know are not vegans, so I'm not super judgmental. That's awesome out of context. Vote. Okay. So on Twitch, baking one... Oh, wait. So on YouTube, the girls won, but Twitch, baking, and domestic cats tied, so please vote on the straw poll so I can narrow this down. Yeah, Zephyr, I immediately thought of you. Not gonna lie, I was like, Zephyr was right. Really didn't think it would happen. It's interesting that that's the song that happened. It was on Reflection is the one. Guess I should have... Maybe it's... I don't know. Interesting. That's true, Hades. Because it's true, someone was commenting about the price of meat, like historically. Yeah, 1F, you were seeing it was actually very expensive. So that is true. It used to be much more expensive to have meat. So like farmers were having a lot more, much smaller... Not farmers, but like the, you know... Like the Elizabethan book I was reading, like Queen Elizabeth could have plenty of meat, but then the lower you got, the less meat they ate. Interesting, Aramis. Yeah, Logmania, you're right. They don't have ethics. No, I agree with you. Oh, potatoes or rice? Oh my god, that's a really hard question. I'll say the line, but I don't even know if I can choose. Dirt Feather, let's see. Oh, hello. Potatoes or rice export? Alright, I'm gonna call the poll at 9:10. Oh, that's really hard. I'm leaning towards rice. Oh, that's so hard though, because I love mashed potatoes and I love French fries. I love pretty much every form of potatoes, but rice, you can also do desserts. You know, because I love bico. I love champorado, which I guess usually is eaten for breakfast, but there's a lot of rice-based desserts I love. Mochi, daifuku, and I love... Then rice, I also love just plain rice. I could really go for some plain rice. Aramis, what potato dessert would you have? Am I just stupid? I know, that's actually like a really freaking hard question. Did I lose my connection? Are you guys there? Alright, I'm gonna do this request from Zephyr. Crack that whip, Trasher. Oh. KCM, I feel okay. I was surprised though. Not happy about it. Out of context, I love corn too. One of my favorites. So I love corn in pretty much any form. So like rice, potatoes, and corn I love in basically any form. But I really love tamalito. I love tamalito. Danny, I've had that before, but I couldn't remember the name of it either. I made it for a class once. I think it was like a recipe from Spain where I did like this mashed potato and then I filled it with meat and onion, I think, and then like cheese on top. I can't remember. It was super good. I absolutely loved it. Oh, sweet potato pie. I was thinking like russet, I guess. Yeah, KCM, I do love rice. Eating starch, I'm all for eating starch. I don't believe in like, I try to limit like my processed foods and saturated fat, but otherwise I don't limit my carbs or my, you know, I eat all the healthy fat I want, like peanuts. Yeah, D-Killer Bunny, rice cake. As long as you're not talking about the dry kind, right? Barf. Those are okay. Oh, you're talking about onigiri? Oh, I suddenly got a weird stomach pain. Wait, there's a potato pie and a sweet potato pie? Oh, I misread that Aramis. So that potato pie you're talking about is with, like, russets? Interesting. Bye, Zephyr. I hope you got your vote in. Yeah, KCHM, I've been really wanting to have some rice. Like, I've been craving some, like, plain jasmine rice. But I've been having arroz caldo for lunch every day, so I'm like, maybe it's a little... Maybe I shouldn't. But I really love it. Okay, get your final votes in, because it's still tied between girls and baking. Which seems ironic. Girls do like baking often. I think the smell of jasmine rice, even before it's cooked, is like one of the best smells in the world. When I was cooking my arroz caldo, I was smelling it, and I was like, ah... Dirt Feather vegan fried rice. Earth Balance is usually what I use when I'm cooking with butter. It has a really good butter flavor, especially their no soy spread has an excellent butter flavor, so I would use that along with obviously soy sauce and garlic and everything. So pretty much everything the same, but I wouldn't do egg. There's some egg substitutes you could do. But usually I would put tofu, and then I would use that good Earth Balance. Earth Balance is just made out of oil. All right, come on, guys. The next one to vote gets to decide, will be the deciding vote between baking and girls. KHM, eat rice for life. I'm cool with that. I'll have some for breakfast. I'll have breakfast congee. I'll have my arroz caldo for lunch. All right, baking one. Yeah, Dirt Feathers, plant oil. Baking one. All right. Don't worry, everyone. They'll cycle back around. So we will talk about the science of baking and how to make the perfect cookie. Probably going with chocolate chip cookies, because obviously types of cookies, there's differences. So we'll probably focus on the perfect chocolate chip cookie. That's the cookie I make most often. And the chocolate chip cookie rules will apply to a lot of types of cookies, but not to things like shortbread or macarons or, you know, some of those more unique. All right, everybody. But you know what? No girls next week, maybe the week after, but if you could definitely impress a girl with your good baking. So make some real good cookies. Hades, I don't know about meat cookies, but I did get this idea that I wanted to try making sugar cookies flavored with Chinese 5-spice. I thought that sounded interesting. I was going to try that out. All right, everybody. Tomorrow's gaming. Tales of Seikyu. Sorry. Gotta head out and maybe not talk for a little while because my throat hurts. All right. Kapla. I mean, Majram.